There are countries that announce themselves with mountains, with coastlines, with cities that command the world's attention. And then there is Paraguay. It lies in the center of the continent, a heartland without a coast, an island surrounded by land, defined not by what it borders, but by the rivers that run through it. It is a geography of interiority, a nation that looks inward. It is a quiet country, a place that does not offer its stories easily. They are not written on grand monuments, but are carried in the cadence of a shared language, in the steam rising from a morning meal, in the silence of a ruined mission. This is not a land of immediate spectacle. It is a place of slow discovery. Its beauty is in the details, the worn cobblestones of a colonial street, the deep green of a yerba mate field, the low, steady gaze of a farmer who knows the rhythm of the seasons. To see Paraguay, you must adjust your pace. You must learn to listen to the river, to read the history in the stone, and to understand a culture that has learned to thrive in the quiet spaces, far from the noise of the outside world. This is a journey into the country nobody talks about, a search for the South America that exists between the headlines, in the slow, steady pulse of its hidden heart. Every story in Paraguay begins with the river, the Rio Paraguay. It is not just a border or a feature on a map. It is the country's artery, its oldest road, its source of life and memory. And on a gentle bend in that river stands Asunción, a city that feels less like a capital and more like a collection of neighborhoods that have slowly grown together over centuries. It is a city of low buildings and shaded plazas, where the weight of the afternoon heat seems to slow time itself. The old center is a conversation between eras. Faded colonial mansions with peeling paint and intricate ironwork stand beside the stern, monumental buildings of a later, more turbulent history. The Palacio de los López, the seat of government, sits with a kind of pink-hued dignity, its back to the city and its face to the water, as if in constant dialogue with the river that birthed it. Nearby, the Panteón Nacional de los Héroes holds the remains of the nation's most revered figures, its dome a silent witness to the city's triumphs and tragedies. The walls speak in pastel shades of ochre and blue, their surfaces weathered by sun and humidity. In the quiet side streets, the silence is broken only by the distant hum of traffic and the cooing of pigeons taking refuge from the heat. Life here moves toward the water. The Costanera, the riverfront, is where the city breathes. Families gather at sunset, fishermen cast their lines into the brown water, and the horizon is not one of mountains or sea, but of the endless, flat expanse of the Chaco on the opposite bank. It is a view into the other half of the nation's soul, a vast green wilderness that begins where the city ends. The river is a frontier, not just a feature. To understand the city's rhythm, you must leave the quiet government squares and enter the chaos of Mercado Cuatro. This is the city's true heart, a sprawling labyrinth of stalls where everything is sold and everyone meets. The air is thick with the smell of grilled meat, of fresh herbs, of diesel fumes and ripe fruit. Here, The two languages of Paraguay, Spanish and Guarani, mix into a single, constant hum. Vendors arrange yuyos, medicinal herbs, into careful bundles, their knowledge passed down through generations. They can tell you a remedy for every ailment, a tradition that lives not in books, but in the oral memory of the market. The sound is of negotiation, of greeting, of the sizzle of chipaguasu, a rich corn cake cooking on a hot plate. You see pyramids of mangoes, piles of starchy cassava, and the intricate web-like patterns of nyanduti lace hanging like delicate trophies. This is not a market for tourists. It is a place of necessity, of daily ritual. It is Asunción in its most raw and honest form. A city that lives by the river and for its people, with little concern for the world outside its borders. Away from the market, hidden in the city's folds, is the neighborhood of Loma San Geronimo, a small pocket of color and community clinging to a hillside. Its narrow stairways are painted in bright murals, its houses a patchwork of vibrant hues. It feels like a village within the city, a place where neighbors still gather on their doorsteps and life is lived in the open air. It is a small, defiant splash of creativity, a reminder that even in this quiet capital, there are stories being painted on the walls. Just beyond the capital, the landscape softens. The great river gives way to a lake, Ipacaraí, a basin of calm water that has long served as the city's escape, its name immortalized in the melancholic melodies of the nation's music. On its shore sits Paraguay, a town suspended in a different time. Its cobbled streets are lined with the grand, decaying summer homes of Asunción's old families. These are houses built for a slower century, with wide verandas, high ceilings, and wrought iron gates that open onto gardens that have begun to reclaim the stone. The air is still, and the light filters through the leaves of ancient mango trees. The town is known for its strawberries and its pottery, simple crafts that have sustained it for generations. The local clay, rich and red, is shaped by hand into pots and figures, their forms simple and timeless. In small, dusty workshops, you can see the potters at their wheels, their hands moving with a practiced, unhurried grace. The craft is elemental, a direct conversation between the hand and the earth. There is a quiet, artistic melancholy to Paraguay. It is a place of memory, a town that seems to be gently fading, its former glory still visible beneath a layer of dust and time. Across the lake lies San Bernardino. It was founded by German immigrants, and for a time, it was the country's most fashionable resort, a place of sailing clubs and grand hotels. That European influence can still be seen in the steep-roofed architecture, a strange and beautiful echo of a distant homeland transplanted to the subtropics. Today, that glamour has also faded. The old hotels still stand, but the crowds are smaller, the pace slower. It is a town that lives in the echo of its own past, its story told in the peeling paint of the lakeside piers. The lake itself is a quiet presence. Its waters are often still, reflecting the wide, open sky. Fishermen in small boats dot the surface in the early morning light, their movements slow and deliberate. There are legends here of a mythical city beneath the waves, of a love story that gave the lake its name. It is a landscape not of drama, but of subtle shifts in light and color, a place that has absorbed the memories of generations. Here, between these two towns, Paraguay reveals a different side of its character, a nostalgia for a past that was perhaps simpler, quieter, and lived closer to the water. The journey turns south, inland, into the heart of Paraguay's spiritual history. Here, the land is rolling and green, dotted with small towns and villages where the red earth roads lead to unexpected wonders. In Yaguaron stands a church that holds the story of how two worlds met. It is a Franciscan temple built in the 18th century. From the outside, it is a simple, humble structure of wood and adobe, unassuming and plain. But inside, the world transforms. The entire interior is covered in intricate hand-carved wood, painted in brilliant colors. This was the work of Guarani artisans, guided by Franciscan missionaries. They carved the images of their new faith, but they did so with the hands and the spirit of their own culture. Look closely, and you see not just angels and saints, but motifs of local flowers, of jungle vines, of a visual language born from the forest. The ceiling is a masterpiece, a vast, painted universe of sacred geometry and natural forms. It is a testament to a collaboration, not just a conquest. Further south, the scale of that spiritual ambition grows immense. Here lie the ruins of the Jesuit missions, a utopian experiment that flourished for over 150 years. This is La Santísima Trinidad de Paraná. It was not just a church, it was a city, a self-sufficient community of thousands of Guarani people, organized and protected by the Jesuit order. They built a society here based on shared labor, on music, on education, and on faith. The ruins speak of that ambition. The great church, now open to the sky, its red sandstone walls still standing against the elements. You can trace the outlines of the workshops, the cloisters, the vast plaza where a whole society gathered. This was a center of incredible artistic production. The Guarani became master musicians, printers, and sculptors. Music was the soul of the missions. The Jesuits understood its power. The Guarani, with their own rich musical traditions, embraced it. They learned to build their own violins, harps, and organs, their choirs becoming famous throughout the colonial world. A short distance away lies another mission, Jesus de Tavarang. It was never finished. The Jesuits were expelled from the Spanish Empire before its great church could be completed. Its unfinished walls stand as a monument to a dream cut short. The great Mudéjar-inspired arches reach for a roof that was never built. It is a place of profound silence, a ghost of what might have been. To walk among these ruins is to feel the weight of a lost world, a unique civilization that rose from the forest, thrived in isolation, and was dismantled by the political forces of a distant Europe. The stones are all that remain, a silent testament to a sacred, powerful history. The land continues to fall away to the south, toward the second great river that defines this country, the Paraná, a waterway so vast it feels more like an inland sea. Here, on its banks, is Encarnacion, a modern, bustling city, its riverfront lined with wide promenades and sandy beaches. It feels different from the rest of Paraguay, more connected to the outside world. This region is also a testament to Paraguay's history as a land of refuge. In the early 20th century, waves of immigrants from Ukraine, Poland, and Germany settled here, drawn by the promise of land. Their influence can still be seen in the faces of the people, in the names on the shops, and in the quiet persistence of their cultural traditions. They brought their farming techniques, their faith, and their resilience, adding another layer to the nation's identity. Across the wide expanse of the river lies Argentina. The bridge that connects them is a constant flow of commerce and culture. Encarnacion is a frontier town, a place of exchange, its identity shaped by the great river that is its reason for being. In the summer, the city comes alive with one of South America's most vibrant carnivals, a spectacle of color, music, and dance that shows a side of Paraguay that is loud, exuberant, and full of life. But the Paraná is not just a tranquil waterway. Not far from the city, the river's power is unleashed, hidden away from the main roads. This is Ñacande Falls, a place of raw, elemental force, hidden deep within a national park. It is a wide, thundering curtain of water, plunging into a gorge surrounded by dense, subtropical forest. The sound is immense, a constant roar that fills the air. Mist rises from the base of the falls, nurturing a world of vibrant green, of ferns and orchids clinging to the wet rock. Flocks of bright green parrots dart through the spray. This is the wild, untamed side of the river, a reminder of the natural power that has shaped this land long before any cities were built or borders were drawn. It is a place that feels ancient, a piece of the continent in its original, powerful form. To cross the Rio Paraguay from Asunción is to enter another country entirely. This is the Gran Chaco, one of the last great wildernesses on Earth. The landscape transforms completely. The rolling green hills of the east give way to a vast, flat, and semi-arid plain that stretches to the horizon. The air grows hotter, drier. The red earth turns to pale dust. This is a world of thorn forests, of dry grasslands, of immense empty spaces. It was once known as the Green Hell, a land of punishing heat, scarce water, and resilient life. The quebracho tree, the axe breaker, stands as a symbol of its toughness. The Chaco covers more than half of Paraguay's territory, but holds less than 3% of its population. Life here is an act of endurance. The roads are often little more than dirt tracks that turn to impassable mud in the wet season. This is a land of strange and resilient creatures. The giant anteater, the jaguar, the elusive Chacuan peccary, a species that was once thought to be extinct, rediscovered in this vast wilderness. It is also a human landscape of profound isolation. Mennonite communities, who came here from Europe nearly a century ago seeking religious freedom, have carved out a life of faith and farming in this harsh environment. Their towns are islands of order in the wilderness, neat houses, tidy fields, and a quiet, industrious rhythm that stands in stark contrast to the untamed nature surrounding them. They speak Plautdietsch, a dialect of German, and maintain a way of life that has changed little in generations. Deeper in, indigenous groups like the Ayoreo and the Nivakle maintain their connection to this land. Their knowledge of the Chaco is ancient, a deep understanding of how to find water, food, and medicine in a place that seems to offer none. They face immense challenges, from deforestation for cattle ranching to the loss of their ancestral lands. Yet they persist, their culture a testament to a profound and enduring relationship with this difficult, beautiful land. To travel through the Chaco is to experience a profound sense of solitude. The sky is immense. The silence is broken only by the wind in the scrubland and the call of a distant bird. This is the other half of Paraguay, the empty, silent, and beautiful heart of the continent. A place that has resisted change, not by force, but by its sheer scale and its magnificent, unforgiving nature. In the northeast, near the border with Brazil, the landscape changes again. The dry plains of the Chaco give way to a region of forested hills, strange, isolated mesas, and clear streams. This is Cerro Corá National Park, a place of serene, natural beauty. But it is also a landscape of deep national memory, a wound that has never fully healed. It was here, in 1870, that the War of the Triple Alliance came to its brutal end, a conflict that devastated Paraguay, leaving an estimated 90% of its male population dead. This is where the country's leader, Marshal Francisco Solano Lopez, was killed, uttering the words, "I die with my country," a phrase that is now etched into the national consciousness. The park is now a place of quiet reflection. The streams where soldiers made their last stand flow as they always have. The forest is alive with birds, but the weight of that history remains. It is a reminder that Paraguay's quietness, its isolation, was not always a choice. It was forged in the fire of a history that has left deep, though often unspoken, scars on the national soul. But this land holds older stories too. On the rock faces of the park's hills are ancient petroglyphs carved thousands of years ago. Their meanings are lost to time, but they are a silent reminder that people have been living and making their mark on this land for millennia. But the true character of Paraguay is not found in its cities or its battlefields. It is found in the small towns and rural communities that dot the countryside, connected by roads of red earth. Here, life moves to an older rhythm, the rhythm of the harvest, of the seasons, of the sun. This is the land of yerba mate, the bitter stimulating tea that is the fuel of daily life. The fields of low green bushes stretch across the rolling hills. The harvest is done by hand, a skill passed down through families. In every town, in every home, you will see people with their guampa, the traditional gourd, and their thermos of hot water, sharing mate. It is more than a drink. It is a ritual of friendship, of community, of conversation. And everywhere there is the smell of chipa, a savory, cheesy bread made from cassava starch, baked in traditional brick ovens called tatakua. It is the taste of home, the essential food of the road, of the morning, of the festival. In these small villages, Guarani is often the first language you hear. It is not a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing part of the national identity, a language of the home, of poetry, of the heart. You see it in the hands of the women who weave nyanduti lace. The name means spiderweb in Guarani. The intricate, delicate patterns are a form of meditation, a tradition passed from mother to daughter, a fragile beauty created with immense patience. Life here is tied to the land, to the small family farm, to the cattle that graze in the open fields. It is a life of hard work, of simplicity, and of a deep, unspoken connection to the earth. The music of the Paraguayan harp, with its bright, flowing notes, often fills the air, telling stories of love, of loss, and of the beauty of the land. It is the soundtrack to this quiet, resilient life. The food tells its own story. Sopa paraguaya, a savory cornbread, its name a historical curiosity, is a staple at every gathering. Mbeju, a simple, starchy flatbread, connects the people to the cassava that has been a cornerstone of their diet for centuries. This is the Paraguay that exists away from the paved roads, the quiet, resilient, and enduring soul of the nation. From the slow river life of Asunción to the silent, empty expanse of the Chaco. From the ghostly ambition of the Jesuit ruins to the simple, daily ritual of sharing mate. Paraguay is a country of quiet contrasts, a land that reveals itself not in grand gestures, but in the small, patient moments. It is a place that has been shaped by isolation, by faith, by conflict, and by the two great rivers that give it life. Its quietness is not emptiness, but a form of preservation, a strength that has allowed its unique identity to endure. It does not demand your attention. It does not offer easy answers or simple beauty. Instead, it asks you to slow down, to look closer, to listen. To see the history in a hand-carved church, to feel the community in a shared gourd of tea, to understand the resilience of a people who have learned to thrive in the heart of a continent, in a country that the world has largely passed by. This is the story of Paraguay. A story written not for the headlines, but for those willing to travel the quiet roads, to follow the river, and to discover the profound, enduring beauty of a land that has always known its own name.